top story. An Omaha family is grieving tonight after their son was shot and killed in Washington, D.C. over the weekend.
Seth Rich was born and raised in Omaha. He worked for the Democratic National Committee in D.C.
Exclusive. It's been almost a year since DNC staffer Seth Rich was murdered. Still no solid answers until now.
Someone shot and killed Rich last July in Northwest. Now, police suggested the killing in the Bloomdale neighborhood was a botched robbery, but online conspiracy theories tied the murder to Rich's work at the Democratic National Committee.
Fox 5's Marina Morocco joins us now with what could be a big break in the investigation. Marina.
Tony, Sean, we are just 2 months shy of the one-year anniversary of Seth Rich's murder. And ever since we learned Rich was a DNC staffer, the conspiracy theories online have taken a life of their own. But today, Fox 5 has learned there is new information that could prove these theorists are, in fact, right. New information from the family's private investigators suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has D.C. police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that?
Rich was killed in the early hours of Sunday, July 10th, 2016, just 1 block from his Washington, D.C. home in Bloomingdale. According to reports, Rich's girlfriend heard scuffling noises on the other end of the line, and when she asked what was going on, Rich told her not to worry and hung up the phone. Authorities say Rich was shot twice in the back and had bruises on his hands, knees, and face. However, no DNA evidence has emerged from that apparent altercation. Police initially reported his death as a robbery gone wrong due to a high number of recent muggings and robberies in the area. However, police did admit that nothing was stolen from Rich, even though he had cash, a cell phone, and a watch on him at the time of his death. Before his death, Seth Rich was investigating several cases involving the DNC's electoral fraud and voter suppression and was set to testify on the case of Hillary Clinton's email investigation. The content of Rich's scheduled testimony remains unclear, but it does raise questions about the scandal involving the DNC.
Seth just lives a couple blocks away from here, but this is where police found him, right over there, lying on the ground in the intersection. He was still alive, but he had multiple gunshot wounds to his back. Seth worked here at the headquarters of the DNC. He was the director of voter expansion since 2014. DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz tells me our hearts are broken.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz shuts down the Seth Rich murder case. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that correctly. Former head of the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, has used her influence to shut down the investigation into murdered DNC whistleblower Seth Rich. Schultz asked her brother, an assistant U.S. attorney no doubt, to stop investigators from digging around the DNC's potential involvement in Seth's death.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the DNC head, is going down. She is going to resign. From this pressure, you can look at pressure mounts on Wasserman Schultz to resign, CNN Politics. The WikiLeaks DNC emails show massive election fraud, immense corruption. This is unprecedented in terms of what we know as a country.
Has been told to back down from the investigation.
The police department nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information
For
that
sure.
could link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely.
It appears as if former DNC chairperson, Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, may be threatening the Capitol Police Chief for holding a computer as part of an ongoing criminal investigation of Wasserman Schultz's former IT staffer.
With the permission of, through the investigation, and we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences.
Indeed, there may be consequences for someone, given the state of this ongoing criminal investigation.
That, in fact, WikiLeaks was working with the Russian government to influence the election. Is that true in any way, shape, manner, or form?
No, that's absolutely false.
Can you say to the American people unequivocally that you did not get this information about the DNC, John Podesta's emails? Can you tell the American people 1,000% you did not get it from Russia or
Yes.
anybody associated with Russia?
We can say, we have said repeatedly over the last 2 months that our source is not the Russian government and it is not state party.
Social media been buzzing today about the murder of a young man in Washington, D.C., Seth Rich. He grew up in Omaha and was working for the Democratic National Committee. That's when he was shot and killed last summer, and police have suspected it was a failed robbery attempt. No suspect was ever named. A news story has once again popped up, suggesting that there was a link to Rich's alleged communications with WikiLeaks.
Often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
no, there's no finding. So
What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are.
Take a step back and realize that the Seth Rich narrative, the case that's going on, whatever we want to call it, really has two tracks. The first track is trying to figure out who murdered this young man. I don't think for this purpose of this show, that's as important as trying to identify if he is indeed the leaker. If they can identify that he is the person that did leak the DNC emails and the documents to WikiLeaks, I think that track is much more important right now to figure out in terms of politics and partisanship, etc. Because if that is the case, then it takes away the whole year of Russiagate and Putin and Trump and collusion. It totally destroys it. And then you can move on to the murder aspect and figuring out why this young man was killed, which is indeed a tragedy. But we really need to figure out if he is indeed the person that did pass on this information to WikiLeaks. It's vital because this will prove once and for all that the entire Russiagate narrative, the stuff that the mainstream media keeps on pushing is a complete lie.
But there's this growing sense, this growing feeling, this growing suspicion. It's more than a suspicion now, that the powerful, politically connected people, they're all above the law. You got a political class way above the law. The kings, the queens, the aristocrats are not bound by the same rules that you and I are. I just think of the IRS targeting conservative groups, Hillary Clinton's server. I mean, you just name it. Go on and on. Mishandling of classified information, getting a free pass, no consequences. Everybody's well-oiled and slips through, and the law has become a satanic kind of net, a weird kind of net, an inverse kind of Mobius strip net, where the little fish are caught, but the big fish magically swim free. If there are big fish in this pond, the republic comes down to this. If the idea or the argument or the reality has become that if you wish to disobey the law, if you wish to be above the law, you must seek political office, only those with the worst motives are going to end up with the most power over us. And for any rational, decent, moral human being, that is an unbearable situation.